is happening here?
That's what I was wondering too. It's still
We
preparing.
are live. We're
We are?
live on Facebook. Yes, we are. Hi, everyone.
Well, that is fabulous. Good evening, everybody. We were taken by surprise because we had some technical issues earlier, but we are here, and Mary Kay is a trooper and on her phone to stay with us as long as her battery lasts. So welcome, Mary Kay, and good evening,
Hi, everybody.
So I'm Brenda Gardner in South Carolina, and I'm joined by my co-host, the lovely Lisa in Atlanta.
And I'm Mary Kay Andrews in the dark in Atlanta.
Oh no, well that's just, you get an extra badge for that, Mary Kay.
Okay.
We're having bad weather here in Atlanta right now. So just for people outside of Atlanta, we're having bad weather and power issues across the city. So
well, we will stay with you as long as we can, but we are so excited that Mary Kay braved the power outage and is still with us to talk about her New York Times instant bestseller, The Newcomer. And she's the queen of beach reads and has penned, there is some dispute about the number of novels, but I'm going to say over 30, including
No, it's not over 30.
Okay.
It's more than 25 and it's less than 30. Let's say that.
All righty then. She's a native of St. Petersburg, Florida, and earned a bachelor's in journalism from the University of Georgia, Go Bulldogs. A former journalist at newspaper, including the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, she made the leap to fiction in 1991 and has created realistic, memorable characters for dozens. I see it there. I said dozens of novels, which is true. In 2006, Hissy Fit became her first New York Times bestseller, followed by 12 more New York Times, USA Today, and Publishers Weekly bestsellers. To date, her novels have been published in German, Italian, Polish, Slovenian, Hungarian, Dutch, Czech, and Japanese. Unbelievable. In whatever language, though, we know her best as one of the Fab Five, a co-founder and co-host of Friends in Fiction, which has magnified our exposures to readers and authors everywhere. So welcome, Mary Kay.
It's great to be with you guys tonight.
Well, it's just wonderful having you. There's been so much buzz about this wonderful book. But for those who haven't read it yet, could you summarize just a taste of it for us, for those who haven't read it yet?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. My character, Letty Carnahan, when the book opens, she has been driving all night from New York. She's exhausted and terrified. She has a 4-year-old in the back seat. And right at dawn, she pulls into a vintage Florida mom and pop motel, the Murmuring Surf on the Florida Gulf Coast. And she's so tired, she falls immediately to sleep. And after a while, she hears a knocking at her car window. And of course, she's even more frightened when she looks up and it's a cop. And there's a reason she's so terrified. She, over 24 hours earlier, she discovered her sister's body. Her sister was murdered, and she found her sister's body on the floor of her townhouse on the west side of Manhattan. And her 4-year-old daughter was alone there with her mom, crying. And so immediately Letty thought about her sister had been going through a really bitter custody dispute with her ex, who ironically also happened to be Letty's ex. And her sister Tanya told her, if anything bad happens to me, it's him, it's Evan. If anything bad happens, promise me you will grab Maya and run. Don't let him get his hands on Maya. That's their daughter, the 4-year-old, and Letty's niece. So when she finds her sister's body, that's what she does. She grabs the go bag that Tanya had shown her weeks earlier, and she hits the road, and she doesn't really know where she's going, but she finds an old magazine article in this go bag that has a lot of cash and a big diamond ring. And the magazine article is about this mom and pop motel in Florida on the Gulf Coast in a real town called Treasure Island. And the motel is called the Murmuring Surf. And that's how the book starts out.
That is.
I gotta tell you, I wanted to go. I was ready to pack my bags and go to the Murmuring Surf. It was so well described and detailed. It just seemed like some place that I wanted to be.
Absolutely, me too. And I do have to tell you, I know that it's a very dramatic plot, but I had to share the neatest quote in the whole book I wanted to share. And it's when Maya is new at the Murmuring Surf and they feed her lunch. And Ava, the motel owner, says, "That young'un was hungry. She fell on that food like a rat on a Cheeto." And I have laughed and laughed at that. Partly because my grandmother used to say young'un, and it reminds me of that. So that kind of leads me into the first question. Because your characters are so intriguing and so endearing to the reader, how have you consistently written such fabulous books each year with those fabulous characters? And did your process change for the newcomer?
Well, this is my job. It's the only job I have. I mean, I'm supposed to cook meals and do laundry and maybe keep my house from the dirt taken over. But and so it is a challenge every year. It's a challenge. I try to write a better book. I try to challenge myself. I want to write a big, juicy, delicious summer beach read. And I really care about the characters. The characters drive the action of the plot. They're driving the bus. And it feels like they're driving the bus, not me. This year with the pandemic, my writing process did change. There was nothing else to do and no place else to go. So I wrote every morning. The rest of the ladies in Fab Five, we would do a morning sprint. So at 7 a.m., I would text everybody because I was the self-appointed sheriff and say, "Hey, who's writing this morning? Get up and write and don't break the streak." And so I think I went like 3.5 months without missing a day of writing, which was unusual for me in the past.
Wow.
So yeah, so it did change my writing process. In the past, I would write a chapter. Lots of times I would start plotting longhand in a notebook. And then once I got an idea of what I was doing, I would switch over and start typing a document into my laptop. But when the pandemic hit, I got in the habit, I would put my laptop on my nightstand every night. And so first thing in the morning, I roll out of bed, grab my nightstand, my laptop, and get back in bed and write. And I'm still doing that.
Oh, fabulous. Adds a whole new flavor to the writing, I'm sure. Back to the characters, although I did want to say to our listeners, please type your questions for Mary Kay in the chat because she's ready and waiting to answer your questions. We have a couple of advanced, but we're going to get to the reader questions live here in just a minute. But we talked about your characters and them being endearing. Which one in the newcomer was the hardest to write?
That's a hard one to answer. I had a tough time getting into Letty's head because she was a different character for me. She's from New York and she's used to having secrets. Letty was a secret keeper, and her sister Tanya even more so. Tanya was probably even more difficult to understand because Tanya was devious. She had a very loose relationship with the truth. Her ethical boundaries were, shall we say, elastic. But both of these sisters, and they're actually half sisters, both of these half sisters have been brought up in not any kind of a normal household. Their mom, bounced from boyfriend to boyfriend and isn't in their lives anymore, and sort of pounded into their heads that they could never rely on a man, that they always had to rely on themselves, and they always had to be ready to go when that man got tired of them. So, they are, and they've taken care of themselves from a very early age. So those two sisters were difficult because they came from a very different background than my own.
And without revealing any spoilers, Tanya's truth was a little bit more elastic than we even realized.
Yeah. I think lots of times with people like Tanya, they get so good at telling stories, they start believing their own stories.
Absolutely, I can believe that. Now that question, by the way, came from Meredith Anna, the one about the hardest character, and she asked another question that I thought was intriguing because I thought Maya's character just rang so true, and I love her, little swimmy, swimmy, swimmy comments. Did you ask any other people or family and friends for insights into a 4-year-old's world?
Well, I'm not that far removed from a 4-year-old's world. I have grandchildren. Of course, mine are now almost 10 and 12. But I've been around, yeah, I've been around young kids. And of course, Kristen Harmel has when we started Friends in Fiction, her son Noah was 4. So he was my source material on things like what he was watching in the morning and what he was playing with. Noah was watching Paw Patrol, which I had never seen. So it's not really a coincidence that that Maya is watching Paw Patrol. Excuse me.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about while we're queuing up some questions from the chat, because of the character development again is so wonderful. The regulars at this place were just amazing. And they were quirky and they were fun and realistic. And so Molly Neville asks, were the regulars always going to be part of the story? It was an awesome plot without them, but they absolutely completed the book, and some made me cackle. Oh, I'm sorry, she said chuckle. I cackled.
Oh. Chuckle, cackle, giggle. Yeah, I knew that I would have the regulars. I knew from the beginning that the Murmuring Surf was the kind of motel where retirees and snowbirds came down every year to spend the winter in Florida, and that's very common. And I grew up in St. Pete, so I know these people. I know that they're very territorial. And when I did research, I went and talked to small family-owned motel owners at Treasure Island and on the beach in St. Pete. And they told me about everybody wants the same week. And if they don't want the room they're in, then they want a better one. And so, one of them said, when somebody dies, the first thing that happens is everybody shows up in the office saying, we want that unit. So that was based in real life.
Well, that was another question we were curious about too. And I wanted to ask people who are watching, our book club readers, which of the regulars did you like the most? And we'll take some of those answers when they come in. But I just thought they were so fascinating. And I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say Oscar Jensen was mine. He got into some difficulties there, in the end, but he was my favorite. What about you, Lisa?
I agree. I loved Oscar.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I really did.
Wonderful. Well, while we're waiting for that, Lisa, are there any comments from the chat you would like to ask?
Yes, we have a question from Diana McGoldrick, and she wants to know, was anything in this book triggered by something in the news that gave you the spark for this story?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question, Diana. I got the idea, Letty and Tanya's ex-boyfriend is an entrepreneur. His name is Evan, and he is an Airbnb baron in Manhattan or in New York. And I got the idea from a story I'd read in the New York Times about illegal Airbnbs and how these folks would have, dozens and some of them have hundreds, and they were illegal. It's illegal to have, you have to have it permitted, and there are parts of the city that don't allow Airbnbs. And so reading this story, I was just fascinated by it. And so I thought that's what Evan does. And that's how he meets Letty when she is working as a waitress in a coffee shop. She's been a struggling actress. She can't get a whole lot of work. And so she's waiting tables. And Evan sits he's at table 2 on her station. And so that's how they meet.
We also have a lot of people are saying how much they love the regulars. They really made the book. Maria Lou says that a line that she found funny was, if he ate a nail, he'd shit a corkscrew. And she thought that was great.
You know, I heard or read somebody say that about somebody. And I thought, well, I'm just going to take a chance and use it. I might offend some people, but that's okay. I've offended people before and I'll offend them again.
And we love that about you. We love the honesty in being yourself. That's how, we all should be ourselves. A follow-up to that is there's so many funny lines. Are most of them something that you've heard, or how do you come up with some of these classic lines that even after the book has been read and people move on, they will either use it or they'll always remember it?
Well, I was a newspaper reporter for 14 years. And so when you do that, hopefully you develop a good ear for dialogue. And I love to write dialogue. And I have a pretty well-developed funny bone. In my family, we didn't inherit real estate or diamonds or, any of those things. We inherited funny. It's in my DNA. My whole family is funny. And so it's harder for me to be serious than it is for me to be funny, to tell you the truth.
Oh, well, it definitely comes across.
Yes, it definitely does. And we do have a few people have said their fate. We're not alone, Brenda.
Oh, really?
A lot of Oscars and the sisters, the lesbian couple, a couple of people.
Yeah, now I love them because they were so cranky and they were so suspicious of Letty. But once, Maya charmed them.
Yeah.
And once that happened, I think you came to understand that it wasn't that they were bad. They were just set in their ways. So many of us are. The older we get, the more set in our ways we are.
Yeah.
And that Maya exactly came through. Oh, excuse me, Lisa, go ahead.
Oh, I just said, and Maya just charmed them, and you could see their hearts change, which was really cool.
She does. And that I could just see that first scene where they're so crotchety about her, leaping into the pool, and she's 4 years old. I mean, really, you want to say, come on.
Yeah. Well, we're members of a neighborhood pool, and we had a crotchety couple who would swim laps. I guess I must have gotten that idea from them. And they wore flippers and snorkel masks, swimming the pool laps. And of course, you got all these little kids in the neighborhood running around and jumping in the pool, and they would fuss about it. And so we all started calling them the frogmen because they look like the kids started calling them that, not the grown-ups. But
funny.
Come to think of it, that is where I got that idea. See, I never know where they come from.
Well, Meredith Anna says that Trudy was her favorite, especially with her walker.
Oh, yes.
I did not even know why Trudy had a walker until it came in real handy at the end of the book.
It certainly did.
I'm going to move around because I'm afraid I'm going to lose power on my phone, and I'm going to get a power cord and see if I can plug it into my laptop, which hopefully still has some juice.
Oh, thank you, Mary Kay. You're being a trooper. We'll let you do
a trooper.
No, go ahead and ask questions. I'm ready for you.
Okay, well, while she's doing that, I want to give the warning. It is 7:30, so the spoiler warning we're going to give, because a lot of the questions that are coming in are questions we need to ask after 7:30. So
I didn't know you did that. That's smart.
Yeah, so it's after 7:30, and we're giving you the spoiler warning. So if you haven't read the book, you might want to just mute and look at Mary Kay's beautiful face.
And then read and then listen to it later.
And come back and watch it again once you've read this fabulous book. Okay, so now I have to find the question that was really do you want to ask one of your questions while I go back to the spoiler question?
Well, I think I will, because I think it might set up some of the reader questions. There's so many layers hidden in the newcomer. And by that, I mean, I'm going to make some vague references. The Ellie Cam, the Murmuring Surf ad, the twists and turns with the male characters, and you unpack these in a very, what seems like an effortless way. But of course, I know that's your experience. Was it particularly challenging to do that with a newcomer? And then I think Lisa's questions from the group will probably follow up on that.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. And largely because I didn't know how I was going to solve some of these plotting issues. When I started out, I certainly didn't know to start why Tanya had that old magazine article about the Murmuring Surf. I did not. I'll tell you what, I'm just losing my stuff tonight. I did not know what her connection was. I dropped one of my AirPods. I did not know what her connection was, why she had that magazine article. And it wasn't until I was writing the scene where Letty and Maya are in the Publix, and a strange man smiles at Maya, who's in this grocery cart. And as people do in grocery carts with cute little girls, says, oh, isn't she cute? How old is she? What's her name? And Letty, the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. And that is when I sort of had an aha moment. I said, oh, okay. This guy is a man from Tanya's past.
Wow.
That is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I have a question from Penny Moyer that I love this question. It says, could the wedding witness birdwatcher on the beach have been Letty and Tanya's mother?
You know, I never even considered that. I thought she was just a passerby. There are so many bird watchers on the beach, especially at that time of year in Florida. I didn't even think about that. A couple of people said, who is that person? I said, she's just random. Maybe she had a meeting. She might have had a meeting I didn't know about.
Well, that's true. You didn't know about the Murmuring Surf until the grocery store. Oh, that's great.
And I have a question from Emily Graves that says, was it difficult to write the scene with Letty on the boat where she was being photographed as if she was dead?
Yes, that one was it was traumatic for me because, you know, I'm writing this scene from Letty's point of view, and she's, you know, vaguely seasick and terrified and still not sure how this is all going to work. And so she's had to put her faith in Joe, and of course in the FBI agent. And so, and Letty hasn't been somebody who's trusted people in the past. So that whole thing, it was really tricky to write. And of course, the FBI agent was a lot of fun to write because she was totally a badass, but there she is puking her guts out.
Oh, and you know what? That was such a twist because I was convinced that she was, you know, who Evan thought she was in the beginning.
I thought she was too in the beginning.
Oh, interesting.
This was more of a pants novel than I've written in quite a while. I just sort of let the story take me where it wanted to go. And it went some wild places.
It did. It did. And there were so many twists and turns. Maybe that's, you know, the hallmark of it. That's so cool. Did we have other book club member questions? Lisa?
Yes, we have so many people. There's lots of chatter about a sequel. So would there be a sequel in the future for Letty and Joe was a specific question from Marlene Waters. And she also wanted to share that all the scenes with the regulars brought back so many wonderful and funny memories of her parents vacationing in Sunny Isles Motel Row on the North Miami beach. And she wanted to thank you for that because those memories are dear to her.
Yeah, a lot of us remember those places. My family vacationed on a place in Indian Rocks Beach for 2 weeks every summer with 5 kids and 2 adults in a 2-bedroom villa. It was not a villa, but I haven't planned to do a sequel. That doesn't mean that one won't happen. I'm working right now on next summer's book, and it is another standalone.
Okay. And we have a follow-up question. This one's a little interesting. Well, not really a follow-up, just another question. Did you get any hotel training? Maria said she worked in hotels for 15 years. And do you have any funny stories that happened to you in running your place?
Well, we have 3 vacation rentals, short-term vacation rentals on Tybee Island, and we have them professionally managed. So we do not manage them ourselves, but we hear stories from our management company. And the funniest, I don't know if it was a funny story, kind of a gross story. We had a group of people staying in the Breeze Inn, or the first cottage we did about almost 13 years ago, I guess. And of course, they were supposed to check out at 10 in the morning, and it turned out that it was a wedding. The group of, and these folks were not 20-year-olds. They were, probably in their 40s and 50s. And so there had been a wedding, and they'd partied pretty hardy. And the housekeepers showed up at 10 or 11 when the people were supposed to be gone, and they were still there. And they said, there was an outside stairway leading from the upstairs master bedroom. And this man appeared on the stairway when they were knocking at the door, and he was wrapped in a towel. And he said, "What do you want?" And they said, "Well, it's checkout." He said, we can't get out of here in an hour. Well, when they finally did get out, they had trashed the place, including, the interesting thing is we had to replace the drapes in a bedroom and all the pillows. And I'm like, I don't even want to know what they were doing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, who knows?
Oh my goodness.
So,
wow.
Well, now that's interesting because it seems like that kind of was the inspiration for one of the incidents in the book with what was his name? Harry? Was it Harry that they
bend
had
over? Yeah. Mr. Bend Over. Yeah.
Yes. Mr. I forgot about that.
I talked to some motel owners for research for that story, and they told me about, they did have guests who they figured out, they were cooking meth in the room or something, and they were partying naked, and he said, we don't like it when people check in here who have found our motel on Airbnb, because we don't know who they are. We like our regulars. And so he kind of told me about, some of the things that they had happen. And that's sort of where the germ of that idea came from.
Wow.
There is one comment I'd like to share before Brenda has another question. Carrie says, I loved when Vicky was eating caramels in Rooney's hospital room when his jaw was wired shut after being attacked by Trudy's walker. That was so good. I laughed so hard. I agree. I loved that.
I was having fun with Vicky. She was such a badass.
She was.
I mean, she did have a soft side to her. Now I can see bringing her back. She'd be fun to write about again.
Oh, definitely.
I loved her too. In fact, she's someone you want to kind of kick back with and put your feet up and hear some stories from.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of odd, bizarre stories, I'm kind of going backtracking on you there, Mary Kay. But while Lisa is looking through the chat for some other questions, I know that you posted on the Friends in Fiction page about the dog and pony show at one of your book tour locations, and I wondered if you wouldn't mind talking about that. And was that the craziest thing that has happened to you on book tour?
It's one of the craziest. Yeah, I was in Neptune Beach, and of course, my dogs take that cue to start barking.
Of course.
Yeah, I was at a bookstore, the Bookmark in Neptune Beach, and Meg Walker, who these ladies know, Meg, she's our managing director for Friends in Fiction. We walked into the store and we kind of did a double take. There were two older ladies there standing at the cash register buying a book, which turned out to be my book. And they had a pony, a miniature pony, and it had a little, like a bridle with almost like a handle on it. And of course the bookstore owner was trying to politely tell them, A, you can't come in here without a mask, and B, you can't bring a pony in here. And they were yelling at her, telling her that they were covered under the Americans with Disability Act, and that they could report her to the government, and she would be charged $5,000 fine. And they were not going to wear a mask, and they did not think they should get out of the store with their. And they said it was assistance pony. So, and while they were arguing with the bookstore owner, they had the pony right up at the cash stand, and the pony, there was a display, down here of mints and Guess soaps and stuff. And so the pony was like licking them, trying to eat them. So eventually I did sign a book. We went outside and I signed these ladies' books. And then, not about half an hour later, here comes a woman with this beautiful show dog. It was a Briard, which is a very fancy French dog. And this dog had won lots of awards, and she was a fan, and she wanted her book signed. So, but the funny thing was, after I posted that, somebody who works at the Jacksonville Library, which is nearby Neptune, posted that that same woman has tried to bring the pony into the library and raised all kinds of hell, because they keep saying, you cannot bring an assistance pony into the library. Yeah,
I guess if she needed a quick getaway, that would be useful.
I don't know. I don't know how fast that pony could have gone, but yeah.
Well, that's true. And if there were mints in the way, that would have been it anyway.
Yeah, he was eating the mints. Or trying to.
Too funny. They just don't tell you about that in bookstore owner school, I guess.
I'm sure they don't.
Lisa, did we have anything to circle back on in the chat? I totally disrupted our conversation, but I had to work the pony in.
I love the pony pictures. They're great. Kathy wants to know, I'm not sure. Do you have a notebook or something interesting or situations? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It's broken up. So I think what she's trying to ask is, do you have a notebook or do you keep a list of interesting people or situations that you witness for future books?
No, most of it's in my head. My mind is like a lint trap. The only thing that stays up there is the silly, useless stuff. Things like people's phone numbers and, vital information. That stuff goes right out there, that's washed out immediately.
Oh.
But silly stuff like that stays in my brain.
Oh, priceless stuff, though. That's priceless.
It's there when I need it.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I have kind of an interesting advanced question for you, Mary Kay, and this one's a little off the beaten path too, but I loved it. Meredith Anna, she asked several questions, but she wanted to know, was Letty's sister's townhouse walk-in closet based on one in real life? And if so, were they giving out any of the items from the closet?
Just pictures that I've seen in magazines. I always see these photos of these people's beautiful walk-in closets in their mansions. And I always think if I had that, it would be so stuffed full of crap. But they always have like 4 things hanging neatly and 6 designer bags, and all the shoes are designer heels. And of course I would trash that in a minute. So this was my fantasy closet. This was my idea of what happens when a country girl gets money.
Oh my goodness. Well, it was pretty amazing, but I totally agree with you. Anybody can organize a closet and photograph it if they only have to hang 4 things.
Right.
That's right.
Or they have color coding in 2 colors. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Well, we did have, you want to?
No, go ahead.
We do have, this one was an advanced question, and then we have a couple of people asking in the chat.
Oh, great.
They want to know about the push present and how, for me, I knew what a push present was, but I don't think, Brenda, did you know what that was?
I had no clue.
And I think there's quite a few people that didn't really know what that was. So the question is, how did you find out what a push present was, and what made you want to include it in this story?
Oh, I'm on social media a lot, and I read a lot of, pop culture stuff. I probably had read a story in People magazine or something about some starlet's boyfriend giving her a piece of jewelry as a push present, or a car as a push present. I mean, I think it's sort of a more modern, contemporary phenomenon. It's like the gender reveal parties. These elaborate gender reveal parties. So I think my daughter had told me about somebody she knew, their husband gave her a push present. So my daughter Katie is about the age of Letty and Tanya, so she keeps me up on a lot of the stuff people are doing in the younger generation.
Awesome. Well, I totally failed pop culture on that one. Absolutely. Lisa, did you have another question? I didn't want to talk.
No, we just have a lot of comments thanking you for explaining the push present, and a lot of people.
I'm happy I can be their cultural guide.
Wonderful. Well,
lots of love in the chat, and still lots of talk for a sequel. So just so you know,
no pressure.
No pressure. Well, I've already written a Christmas book, and I'm working on next summer, so I'm kind of busy.
I was going to say, It's very convenient of you to write a Christmas book too, so we could slide it right into December in our lineup. But we do want you to talk about your Christmas book here. We're going to make a few announcements.
Okay.
And we'll have a couple of final questions for you, but let me go ahead with our housekeeping announcements, and then we'll finish up with any final questions from the chat. And we'd love for you to talk about the Santa suit, because it sounds like it's going to be awesome. But we wanted to mention that everyone should tune in this Wednesday night to the main Friends and Fiction page, when the authors will welcome Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. This week's featured bookseller is Russo's Books in Bakerfield, California. They are family owned and operated since 1989, which is awesome. And you can get 15% off of your books this week with no code required on The Personal Librarian by the Wednesday night guests Marie Benedict and Victoria Murray, as well as on other new and recent titles from the Fab Five. So we hope to see you Wednesday night at their discussion. Our next book discussion will be July 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we'll discuss The Summer of Lost and Found with Mary Alice Monroe. And Lisa, I think you wanted to make an announcement about an upcoming event.
Yes, I hope you all save the date for July 23rd, because it is our 1-year anniversary for the book. Yay! And we now have 7,000 members. And we're just so excited, and we want to celebrate with you guys. So save the date. It is going to be a lot of fun, and there will be some surprises. You don't want to miss it.
And did we say surprises? Yes, we said surprises. And then one final announcement before we go back to Mary Kay is we're going to have an informal chat with just our members next Monday night at 7 p.m. So I'm announcing it here first before we post it on the page for anyone who would like to dig deeper into the newcomer and the regulars and Letty and Maya and everybody in the newcomer. So if book club members want to talk some more and dig deeper, you can drop on in next Monday night. So with that, I'm going to ask Mary Kay. We are all anxiously awaiting some more information about the Santa suit. Could you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, the Santa suit comes out September 28th, and it's about a young woman. Her name is Ivy Perkins. She's newly divorced, and she has decided she's been in a marketing business with her now ex-husband in Atlanta. And when he leaves her for their biggest client, Ivy decides she's going to start her life all over again. She's going to take her dog. She finds she wants to live in an old white farmhouse in the mountains in North Carolina. And so she goes online, and this is very unlike Ivy. She buys a little old white farmhouse, sight unseen. It's called Four Roses Farm. And she and her dog, Pumpkin, get in her Volvo, and they drive to the mountains. And they pull up, and this house is, it looked way better online than it does in person. And she's met at the house by a stranger who turns out to be the real estate agent, whose name is Ezra. And she pictured Ezra, the real estate agent, as a kindly old gentleman in a sweater vest and a bow tie. And this Ezra is hot and younger. And when they go in the house, Letty is not pleased to discover that the farmhouse was part of an estate. The previous owners died, and now their son-in-law is selling the house because nobody in the family wants to live out in the country. And Letty is dismayed to find that they've left most of their furnishings, the old crappy farmhouse furnishings, including clothes in the closet. So that night, she's throwing clothes out of the closet. And at the top of the closet, she discovers, and she's got a truck coming with her own thing. So she's in a panic to get all this old crap out. At the top of this closet in the master bedroom, she finds a gift wrap Christmas box. And when she takes it out of the closet and puts it on the bed and lifts the lid, she finds a beautifully made, luxurious velvet Santa suit. And come to find out that the previous owners of the house, Bob and Betty Ray Rose, were the Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus for this community for decades. They played Mr. and Mrs. Santa Claus. And this farmhouse, in fact, is the Christmas house. And people came from all over to see it lit up at Christmas. And so Letty is like, what am I going to do with this Santa suit? Later that night, she's packing to put it away, and she finds a crumpled up note in the pocket of the Santa suit from a little girl. And that starts her on a path to discover more about the owners of the house and about Santa and a lot about herself. So she becomes a member of the community, and she solves some old mysteries and maybe finds a new love too.
Yay, I'm so excited.
I know,
love
I am.
Christmas books.
I am too. And I was already, when she found the note in the suit, I was like,
Yeah.
you got me already. I'm in.
So
I
some little kid has given Santa a note for what they want for Christmas.
Oh, well, fun. We are so excited about that and putting that in the lineup for December to celebrate the holidays with your book. Are there any?
I think it's December 6th is when we're going to be discussing.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
I
So
think
it'll be fun.
Thank you, Lisa. I think that's right too. Are there any notable newcomer? Well, I'm sure there are book tours, virtual tours coming up that you would like to tell us about.
Well, I'm going to be with the Low Country Book Club on Friday. Talking to their members virtually. So folks can go to Low Country Book Club and ask to join. I'll be talking about the newcomer there. And of course, tomorrow I'm flying up to Beaufort, North Carolina to join 3 of the other ladies. Kristen can't make it because she's got, a book tour coming up. So 4 of us will be in Beaufort, North Carolina for a series of sold out luncheons and dinners. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to that.
I can't believe I forgot that was this week. That is going to be a crazy experience. I hope everyone takes lots of pictures and posts them for the rest of us.
We will.
Yes.
It sounds just amazing. And so anybody who hasn't been out to see Mary Kay in one of her book tours, please come on out because it's a fabulous book. Now, Lisa, did we have any final items we needed to cover?
I have a final question from the chat. I think it's a good one to end on. And I apologize to the member who came up with it because they asked at the beginning and I can't go back far enough to find her name. But the question is, she saw the interview with you and Karen Slaughter and wanted to know how you can keep it together when you're doing the interview with her, especially for this one, when she did a special, for those of you that didn't see it, she did a special cover for Mary Kay. Instead of the newcomer, it was the cucumber.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And it was like a cucumber, and then, you can't tell. Oh, there. Yeah. And she had it, the whole thing. I saw that as well, and I was laughing hysterically. And the whole time I thought, Mary Kay is so professional because I would be bent over dying laughing at this point. And you never lost you still continued on and you told about the book. So how can you keep such a straight face?
Well, usually when I do events, I'm the funny one, but this time with Karen, all you can do is be the straight man. So yeah, she's wild. She's wild, and she's a neighbor. She only lives about 5 miles from me. We don't see each other very often. We're having lunch together July 1st. So if the cops are called, you'll know what happened.
Oh my goodness. We will keep an eye out.
Call me if you need bail.
Bail money.
I'll save my phone a friend for you, Lisa.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't know how you did it. You must have trained for that, but that's incredible. Well, Mary Kay, we are so excited to have you tonight. We know everybody is loving the newcomer and those who joined us and haven't finished it yet. I'm sure they're anxious too. And for those who can make it, be sure to post from the Beaufort event. It sounds like it's going to be really exciting, and we are just looking forward to hearing all about it.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Friends in Fiction Book Club.
And thank you for sticking it out with us on your phone.
Yes. And your phone didn't run out. We're very excited. So
yeah, my husband gave me a power pack, so hopefully that's going to be all right.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thanks again for this evening, and to our readers,
pleasure.
Good evening and happy reading.
Thanks all. Bye.
Oh yeah, let me do another. Bye-bye.
Bye. Woo.
Well, that was fabulous. Hello, those who stuck with us. We're doing a little quick after show.
Well, I don't have any story point wine, but I will say this is a sip and stay. So I wish I had something to sip. What a night, right?
I really hate those technical difficulties.
I know. It's and I will say in our defense, sometimes we've had just technical issues that we can't, but tonight it was like a Facebook thing. And then right when we were ready to go, and Mary Kay lost her power, and we went, uh-oh.
We lost our guest.
Yeah, and what a trooper. And
I know, I was sure her phone was going to die right in the middle, but fortunately it didn't.
I shared with Brenda earlier and Mary Kay before we attempted to go live that I felt nervous today, like all day, and I didn't know why. And I think maybe I was just having a little premonition as to what might happen. And I was nervous because my power flickered like 4 times during the recording, and I was trying to read a question, and I completely got distracted. So I hope I didn't seem too out of it.
Oh no, you were wonderful as usual, Lisa. I was a little bit stressed out being the one who launched, and when we lost Mary Kay, I thought, oh no, we lost her.
And I just switched my contacts over, and when I went to look for her number in my phone, it wasn't there. And I was like, oh no, we can't call her.
No, but we did an email, and that seemed to work, and she was the intrepid author that she is, and tried another method, so we're very excited about that. I just I know we talked about a lot of different things tonight, but there were so many things to look at the newcomer, with the characters and then the twists and the turns. It's just it just kind of blew my mind. And now that she says what she did about, she didn't know all of those things when she started the book, as she often does, that kind of makes sense, because she was doing more exploration. So I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah. She's so great at her writing. Like every summer, like the whole Queen of Beach reads, it rings true. Like you look forward to the new Mary Kay Andrews. She never disappoints. And this one, to me, it felt almost like a throwback to her original series, the Callahan Garrity. The first one of the series was her first book, Every Crooked Nanny. And it kind of had that more of a mystery feel. There's always a little mystery, but this one felt a little bit more like that. And I thought, I wonder if because I couldn't remember if it was her 29th or 30th novel either. I was like, but I know it's her 30th year. It's her 30th year.
That's right.
Of being a full-time author. And I was like, I wonder if she, whether it was intentional or not, just was like, I'm going to give a nod to how it all started and go back to that kind of mystery.
I so wish we had asked her that question.
I don't know. I just thought of it right now. Sometimes when you're not worried about everything.
Right. Exactly. But I think that's a fascinating question, because that kind of goes back to like what I meant with the so many twists and turns. It's like a page turner, and you think, oh, I didn't realize that was going to happen. And I wonder if that, or if it just came out because that was her roots, maybe. I don't know. Maybe maybe we'll post that question for her and see if she can answer it. Or if she would answer it for us, because that's a pretty intriguing question.
Well, we have a lot of people still watching, so thank you guys for hanging out with us. Marlene says we all owe Lisa and Brenda a big thank you. Thank you, Marlene. That's very sweet.
Aww,
we owe you guys a big thank you for sticking with us and watching and being active. We're so thankful for you guys, and we know the Fab Five is too.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone is so supportive. It is a real community that we've somehow grown in all of this process that is kind of unique, I think. So it is very exciting. And I need to, I was going to say, I've got my newcomer here I need to put back on my shelf so I can, keep promoting it.
I was looking at some of the comments, and a lot of people are just saying they thought that the newcomers are best, and it shows how talented she is. And Peggy said she first discovered her mystery books. Like that's what she discovered first, was Mary Kay's mystery books. So.
Oh, and I'm seeing Joyce Barnett Harrison says, I can't wait to read this book. You will love it. I mean, it really is a page turner. I'm not.
You know who that is, right? That's my mama.
Oh, of course it is. I was so busy scrolling. It didn't dawn on me.
Hi, so Mom. I didn't know you were watching.
Well, apparently she
When you
is.
said it, I went,
I can't believe I did that. That's so funny.
you knew. You're in business mode.
Pardon?
I said, you're in business mode.
Yeah, I really am. And I was so proud of myself for looking at the chat at the same time because it's a little harder in my setup to do. That's why Lisa is the expert question puller from the chat.
Oh my
So I
goodness, that's
swooped
so
in
funny.
and did something silly. So, but
No, that
anyway.
was so funny because I didn't even see her. And I know the Barnett, that's what threw you off.
Oh, people are saying, hello, Lisa's mom. Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that is funny. Well, I think just to remind everyone, on Monday, you said at 7, we're going to do the informal chat about the newcomer. And we do want to say, and we'll post it on the page, we do want to say that this will be for people that have read the book from beginning to end. So if you haven't read the book, you don't want to do the informal chat because this will be the place for members to discuss in more detail things about the book, maybe discuss some of the questions that we didn't get to tonight, and be able to talk with each other and hear each other's opinions about the book. I am sorry I won't be able to be there Monday night, but Brenda is going to be hosting it and you guys are going to have a wonderful time. I hate I'll miss it, but I will definitely be at the next one.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And heart's going with you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess it's time for us to wrap up tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in to mostly Mary Kay, but for enjoying a few minutes of after show with us. And we're looking forward to Mary Alice next month and our 1-year anniversary. So it's kind of an exciting time. Yay! Woohoo! And I'll put the newcomer back on its shelf and hope everyone has a great remainder of the evening.
Yes, enjoy.
Take care.
Thank you.